Good evening everybody, and an early happy Christmas to you all. Some of the stuff you're going to see in a few minutes will make you not quite so happy, I fear. In general, I speak about what happens in our local municipality of City of Kawartha Lakes, but tonight I want to speak about something of a provincial nature, and that is the hydro bill which you have recently received and are a little upset about. So we'll turn to some slides and I'll show you what I mean. So there they are. These are the new rates that came in on November the 1st. And as you can see, there has been a substantial increase. Here we have 10.1 for off-peak, 14.4 for mid-peak, and 20.8 for on-peak. Now the 20.8 is more than twice now what we pay for off-peak, and that in itself is a bit of a burden. Now the Ontario Energy Board says that these rates are going up on November the 1st, and it's already happened, but this is what they say. The rates are scheduled to increase by about $1.99, let's call it $2, or 1.8% of a typical residential customer. Now we don't know who a typical residential customer is, but 700 kilowatt hours seems a pretty small number. Now the first thing you notice is that this is blatant discrimination, because these new rates only apply to households, that's you and me, and small businesses. Households, they always take us for a run, but small businesses I cannot understand, because the small businesses are the cornerstones of a healthy economy. We are supposed to be helping those people, but instead of that, we are subsidizing the business tycoons because they get the old rates. Now when we look at my actual bill, which is up here, you can see the new rates, there they are, and how much I paid and how much I used. Now what I did is I put the new rates down on the bottom here, and I put in my old rates there. And it doesn't take a second to do the new calculation, and you'll notice that my old rates made me pay $124, and the new rates make me pay $193. That's a difference of almost $70 or thereabouts. And the increase is certainly not 1.8%, it's more like 55%. So where they get those numbers from is a great mystery to me. Now, in fact, I used that many, which is about twice the 700. So what my increase should have been was 2 times $1.99, let's say $4. But in fact it was $68. That takes some explanation, which I will now attempt. But before we do that, let's just look at the numbers themselves. The old rate from 13.4 to 20.8. You do not have to have a degree in mathematics to see what that will come to, because 13 from 20 is about 7, and 7 is about half of 13, so obviously the increase is over 50%, and there are the actual increases. So this number down here that the Energy Board gives to us is simply crazy. Now I decided to look at the historical growth in the rates, and here they are going back to down here, you can't see it very well, but it's 2006, and in this slope here, you measure that slope, again it isn't too difficult, it comes out to be about 1.4% over these years, 1.4% of the year. So here we go along until we get this big bump here, the sale of HydroOne, and that was Kathleen Wynn's gift to us. It was a period of chaos. All of a sudden they got a lot of money about here, so they gave us a big break on our hydro rates, and then they decided this was a big folly And so right now we have an increase in 1 year of 55% on our rates, whereas historically it was 1.4%. So I call this stupid one. And the stupid one is to do with what happened when we started to go green and have all our solar energy. And at the beginning, they promised 80.2 cents a kilowatt hour on 20-year contracts. Now, when they did that, at the time they did that, we were paying 9.9 cents per kilowatt hour as customers, and they were given 70.3 cents extra to the providers. So we bought the stuff from the solar panel people at 80.2 cents and sold it. We got money back from it for 9 cents. That is absolutely stupid. This whole idea of green energy subsidized by the taxpayer was completely stupid and completely wrong. Now, stupid too is another thing. They just finished selling off HydroOne. And you may remember that Kathleen Wynne said that they were going to keep control of it by keeping a majority of the shares. Well, that never happened. And the Financial Accountability Officer has said he's forecasting a loss of $1.1 billion for these charges. And he also goes on to say that now that HydroOne is buying this American company called Avista, what that really does is makes the share volume diluted. So now instead of having 47% of the shares in this company, which we used to own, is now down to 42%. So losing public control of HydroOne was stupid, and everybody said so. This is what they said. Okay, this is the massive objections from the public. The lawsuit from Coupe was $1 million, and they said that the Liberals have no mandate to sell HydroOne. It was publicly owned by the people. The cost of debt borrowing was $25 billion over the next 30 years. We pay too much according to the Auditor General. The Auditor General says we pay too much in the first place, of $37 billion, and by 2032 that would be $133 billion. We lost control, going down from a slight majority of the shares down to only 42%, and the loss of dividends is 1.1 billion, because the fewer shares you have, the fewer of dividends you get. So selling hydro was Kathleen Wynne's inextinguishable sin, and that was taken directly from the Toronto Star there. Now I go into politics. What's the politics of this, apart from the disastrous economy? So Doug Ford, when he came to power, he said, if elected, I would put money back into the pockets of Ontarians. He'd cut the hydro rates. Well, we don't see any evidence of that. And Rick Ford, who was the energy minister, said, our government is delivering on its promise to fix the hydro mess, which is right, to bring more transparency. Well, they may be more transparent electricity bills, but most people still can't afford to pay them. Now, politics too is really worrisome because it is a matter of deliberate deceit. The government is deliberately lying to the people. The Auditor General did a report on the former Liberal government, their Fair Hydro Plan as it was called, and this is what I found. The government created, now that's an important word, in other words, they made it up from scratch, a needlessly complex accounting and financing structure. They made a brand new accounting structure in order to avoid showing a deficit or an increase in net debt. In other words, they cooked the books to deceive us into thinking that all was well when it certainly was not. That, I think, is unforgivable when a government deliberately deceives the population. So here is the poison pot. This 8% provincial rebate, which I had in November, was an amount of $9.57. And in December, I just received it, it's gone up to $87 $2,000.06. You may say, well, that's a really nice thing. But it isn't, because that extra money, this extra $77, is designed to hide what they've done. It isn't a gift at all. It's a deception. Because what they've really done is scalp us. So that's why I say we can all have a happy Grinchmas. Now that 8%, that's a magic figure, because they'd already received so many complaints that they decided the electricity costs were too high, and we all knew that. So what they did is they gave us back the HST. So in fact they didn't give us a rebate at all. What they did is they just stopped taking the HST. Now the new rebate is kind of different, because it works backwards. It starts with the hydro bill that will not create riots. In my case, they said, well, I won't go out into the streets and riot if my bill is about $220. Then they look at how much I actually use. With the new rates, they work it out, and it comes to about $300. So they say, now I've got a problem. He won't make a noise if it's 220, but it should be 300. So what we do, we take one from the other, and we give him $80 back. So the rebate is paid for from our taxes. And probably it may not come from our taxes, since they don't have much money. It will probably mean that the government will borrow some more money to pay those rebates. Now I say here, please don't blame poor old Doug Ford for this particular problem. He has enough problems. Because the previous government ran up massive debts. It sold incredibly valuable assets. It was badly mismanaged, and it was unable to control the bureaucrats who really rule the roost. The Ontario provincial debt must be brought under control. We all know that. Somebody has to do something about debt, and that means cuts in staff and services, and that will be hard. And unfortunately, like all our leaders, they listen to the well-paid government mandarins who work in the office just down from their office, and they do not listen directly to the people. My prediction is that rebate will be slowly whittled away, $5 at a time, and in about 10 years' time it will be back down to zero, and we will be paying the full rates. So do please have a Merry Grinchmas. Thank you.